OS keyboard shortcuts in Dialogs. On Windows, every dialog box includes underlined letters that you can activate using the Alt key. I use these Alt keyboard shortcuts all the time. I'm missing them as I'm trying to switch to OS. On OS, all I can find is tab navigation, which requires you to press tab 7 or 8 times to get anywhere in most dialog boxes. And even that is hidden by default. You have to enable full keyboard access in the keyboard and amp, mouse control panel to be able to tab between buttons. Is there some way I can get something like the Windows Alt accelerators for OS Dialogs? I'm willing to write automator code, download/purchase software, etc. Specifically, I'm imagining maybe something where you do some shortcut command and then start typing the name of the button and hit enter to push the button.
In ours there's no such thing as the underscore for dialogues like in Windows. However, you have escape defaults to no/cancel.
CMD plus del, don't save, CMD plus D before OSX lion. Enter save/OK. Spacebar, click selected button, use tab to move. A quick Google search for OS keyboard shortcuts will teach you way more than you can memorize in one day, but you should. There are dozens and some are very valuable. You can always add more/change some existing ones by going to System Preferences in GT, Keyboard and Amp, Mouse in GT, Keyboard Shortcuts, exactly where you activated all controls.
But as far as I know, there's no underscore thing in OS.
In addition to Martin's essential list of shortcuts, which work almost everywhere, you should know that in a file open or file save dialog you can press, or to jump straight to a pop-up sheet that will let you type in a folder path. This is great for if you are a super fast typist, or if you want to go to a hidden folder like ~/.ssh. That field even does tab completion, sort of. The catch is if there are 0 matches, or more than one match, when you press tab. Instead of doing any kind of completion, tab will just jump you out of the text field. Also, when you're in the midst of quitting an app or closing a window, and there's a dialog saying cancel, save, don't save, you can press D to choose don't save. Obviously escape and return will operate the other two buttons, but I use this one all the time when I'm closing something I don't want to save.
A nice feature that almost replicates the Windows Alt accelerators in an OSX dialog box is to use ++ first letter. As noted by Louis, using only +_ letter works in some dialogs. For example, +D will choose don't save on exiting a file. This is the same functionality as first using the highlight don't save and then selecting it by clicking space, which works if System Preferences and GT, Keyboard and GT, Keyboard Shortcuts and GT, Full Keyboard Access column ... is set to All Controls, as described in previous posts. However, +_ letter is not universal. For example, in a Save As dialog, +N fails to select New Folder. But ++N does the trick. I discovered this feature only recently, so I'm not sure if it is as universal as Windows Alt, which I'm using extensively. But by playing around I seem to be able to select most dialog items that I need. For example, I could use ++T to navigate in the dialog that opens in Microsoft Excel for Mac, when I do Paste Special, and choose text from a drop-down menu. So it selects not only buttons, but list items as well. Update: one limitation, however, compared with Windows Alt, seems to be that it's not possible to press the first letter key multiple times to move between different objects that share the same first letter. In lists, this can be overcome to some extent by combining the shortcut with the arrow keys. By the way, OSX has the shortcut Control plus F2 for accessing the menu bar, but this is particularly inconvenient since it involves pressing Fn to activate the F2 functionality. What's more, others have reported problems with the default shortcut, The default shortcut can be redefined in System Preferences and GT, Keyboard and GT, Keyboard Shortcuts and GT, Keyboard and AMP, Text Input and GT. Move focus to the menu bar. It must involve two keys. I'm using plus and LT, which feels familiar from Windows. Once the menu bar apple is highlighted, it is possible to access individual menu items by pressing a sequence of the relevant first letters. For example, in Firefox, I can go to File and GT, Page Setup ... with this combo. Plus and LT, F, P, leftwards arrow with hook. And contrary to Dialogs, this functionality does indeed support pressing multiple times to navigate between list items, so that I can access File and GT, Print, like so. Plus and LT, F, P, P, leftwards arrow with hook, equivalent to plus P. It is actually not even necessary to press the relevant first letter. It's enough to press any letter to highlight the closest list item in alphabetical order. If no result is found, the search continues backwards in reverse order. For example, I can access Edit and GT, Undo, equivalent to plus C, like this. Plus and LT, E, V, rather than the intuitive view.
I found this thread because I was searching for an answer for the same issue. I set full keyboard access, but this still apparently does not work in all circumstances. In my example, when attempting to save over a file with the Replace File dialog, there are two buttons on screen, Cancel and Replace. The Cancel button is always filled with a blue color, but the blue outline is displayed around the Return button by default. It is possible to hit Tab to move the blue outline, but hitting Return will always count as if you clicked Cancel, the button filled in with blue. That sounds confusing, because it is confusing. I was fumbling around, and just discovered a new keyboard shortcut. In the Replace File dialog, Send plus R selects the Replace button. Adobe seems to be aware of this issue. When you select Save for Web, a custom save dialog will be used, where it is possible to simply hit Return to use the Replace action, no need for Tab.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.